Hello, and welcome to the Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. We love some good time-saving tips, don't we, Rach?
We do.
And that's one of the things I love about Rounded. It's an accounting and invoicing system, and it automates expense tracking, connects to the bank accounts, and simplifies my BAS. It tidies everything up so much easier. And I think it helps you focus on the billable work by freeing up time.
Absolutely. I think the day that I moved from spreadsheets to Rounded was just like a huge game changer. I just used to spend hours on invoicing, expense tracking, the shoebox of receipts.
Yeah, I think we've all done that.
And Rounded is just so easy to use, and it really helps automate these tasks. So you can, invest your time in ways to build your business instead, like upskilling, client acquisition, relationship building, all the things.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you get 20% off your annual plan, and all the details are in the show notes.
So Lynne, today we are diving into something Australian freelancers are feeling right now, AI anxiety.
Freelancers all around the world, really.
Yeah, globally. And I know at Rachel's List, we're seeing freelancers struggling with, finding leads and being ghosted and clients cutting corners with AI or not needing them anymore. But it is happening globally. That's what we're seeing everywhere. Yeah.
It is, but our guest today, Joe Pulizzi, I always love an Italian last name, has a very different take. And he says, well, we can't out-create AI, we can out-connect it. And I think that's really powerful. And it's an interesting shift for freelancers to think about, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. I'm reading Joe's book at the moment, and it's really blowing my mind and making me think so differently about what the future might hold for all of us, what it might hold for our kids. We were just talking about that offline with Joe. So yeah, interesting times.
Interesting, yeah. So before we get started, if you're not familiar with Joe Pulizzi, and you have to listen to his podcast, he's got two amazing ones, and I love them. He's one of the world's leading thinkers on content, community, and the creator economy. He's the author of multiple best-selling books, including the latest, Burn the Playbook. That's the one you're reading, which we're chatting about. And Joe has also founded multiple startups, including the Content Marketing Institute and the Tilt. He has 2 weekly podcasts, as I said, which is the Motivational Content Inc. podcast, lovely bite-sized like tips, and the award-winning marketing news show, This Old Marketing with Robert Rose, which is the longest-running marketing news podcast on the planet. Well done. Okay.
Amazing. And Joe has also sparked a bit of controversy lately with his posts, which I've found on LinkedIn and in the Tilt newsletter, about what's coming for creators. And that has also kind of generated a lot of conversation among freelancers around the world, including here in Australia. So we're going to dive into that.
Yes, so exciting to have you on the podcast, Joe. Welcome.
Lynn and Rachel, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I don't know if I have any new solutions for the craziness that's going on with AI, but I guess my focus right now is I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm trying to figure out and experiment with this and look at new models and just share with the world, including yourselves, like this angst that we all have because we don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And you really did throw the cat amongst the pigeons with that post recently that said we have a 3-year window before everything changes as we know it in content and marketing. I would love to know what the reaction has been like. Did your inbox just explode after that?
It was one of my better posts if you count engagement, I guess, is the yeah. So I talked about this idea. I went to a conference, an AI conference in the States called MACON, Marketing Artificial Intelligence Conference, run by Paul Reitzer and Kathy McPhillips, great friends of mine. And we just got into wonderful discussions about what is the future of AI as it comes to marketers and content creation. And the consensus with a lot of the experts there were, we have this small window of opportunity, and we can talk about some of those things, but until we get to the point where most of the content we're engaging with is synthetically created. Now, what I mean by that is right now we can see that already happening with AI search engines or ChatGPT or whatever, where they'll just give you an amalgamation of the millions of commentary on a topic, and that's what you get, and you get that in text form. So we're getting that already, but it's going to be more prevalent. But then we're going to get it in audio form, and we're going to get it in video form, where it's not going to necessarily come from a human being. It's going to be created as the moment arises that you need that information. And it's going to come through our phones, but it's going to come through our glasses and our devices, household devices, and our cars are going to become more important with this, especially as we're not going to be driving these cars. We're just going to be moving. So yeah, it's a lot of changes happening. So especially for content creators, for freelancers, for marketers who are, trying to build audiences and create content.
Mm.
We're in kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
We know that AI is changing, but we don't know how it's going to necessarily affect our jobs. So as I talked about in the newsletter post, I'm like, okay, well, what can we do now to protect ourselves or diversify ourselves to give ourselves a chance to do the thing that we're doing right now? And to a lot of your listeners, that would be, creating content from a freelance standpoint or, building your own audience through newsletters or podcasts or whatever the case is.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mm.
it was not excitement. It was,
It's like
Joe,
Terror?
why are you doing this to me? And I won't be able to sleep at night. And will I have a job tomorrow?
Yeah.
And where's my client? What is my client going to be there in the morning? So those
Yeah.
types of things came up very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
Because anyone who's been doing this for a while, and I certainly have, we've all lived through major industry shifts before, and particularly when print moved online. And how is the AI transition similar? And do you think that there are mistakes we did last time that we can learn from this time?
I might have a different kind of take to that
Mm,
because I started in print media. So that
mm,
was when I started in the media industry in 2000. I started at the largest North American media company, Penton Media, back then, and we were print focused and in-person event focused. That was the
mm,
entire business model.
Mm.
And then the internet came in, and we had to take this as a serious thing. And
mm,
everybody was told, hey, learn, educate yourselves about what's going on, experiment, and all those kinds of things. But as a business model, really all we did was we just checked the box to internet. It was like, okay, we still have our print magazine or newsletter, and we still have our in-person event. Those are the important things. But okay, let's have the website, check the box. We had a web article, check the box, and
mm,
we'll have a newsletter, and then we'll have a link to the print issue, check the box.
mm,
So we're like, okay, we're not really changing the business model. We're just sort of adding it as, oh, okay,
mm,
we have to do it. That's fine. Well, I started in 2000, and when I started there was 7 people, 7 layers of management between myself and the CEO. And 2 years later, I was reporting to the CEO, and it
yeah.
had nothing to do with me being good at my job. It's basically because I was cheap and
Mm,
adaptable, and all those wonderful editors, writers, sales reps, designers, they were all still good at their job, but that job didn't exist anymore. That was gone, and they were all let go. So
Mm.
that's what the internet did
Mm.
to publishing, print
mm,
publishing at that time. So now we're saying, okay, what does AI do to our industry? And I think it's 100, I don't know what the magnitude is, 10
mm,
times, 100
mm,
times worse, better. I don't know which way we're going with this thing, but I think in some cases we're making the same mistake as creators in this industry. It's like, okay, well, we're going to experiment. We're gonna use it and see if it works. We'll use it as a brainstorming tool. We definitely want to learn on all these. We want to learn on ChatGPT. We want to learn Claude, on Perplexity, and all those things. But we're not looking at the fact that the model is changing entirely, and the jobs that we're doing right now are not going to exist in 2 to 3 years. They just will not be around. And I
yeah.
guess that's what it's a horrible thing to think about because I'm sure, like me, I've been writing content similar way for the last decade or so.
Mm,
And for have somebody to tell me, hey, you know what, the thing that you're doing right now with your newsletter and everything, in 3 years, it's not really going to be relevant. It's not going to be discoverable. The algorithms are going to take over. It's a tough thing to swallow, but I think the earlier we come at this and say, okay, well, what am I good at? What do I really enjoy doing? and figure out how we can diversify those things now, maybe we'll give ourselves a chance. So, Lynn, to answer your question, I think we have to take this so much more seriously than what, because it's going to be destructive what happens. At least, I mean, I was just talking to a marketing professional earlier today, and I'm like, you got to prepare that your job's not going to be there in 24 months. You just have to. Now, if it's there, great. I was wrong. But if you do the things now, you might protect yourself and give
Yeah.
yourself an opportunity to keep being creative and keep doing the thing that you love and keep getting paid for it.
Yeah,
Mm,
so
mm,
interesting, isn't it? I mean, we
yeah.
did learn the longer I mean, when I first started, we were still using printing presses. We are all using film and typesetters and stuff. And I saw all the typesetters go, and then we saw the digital
Mm,
revolution. And then I remember digital photography in the magazines that I worked for. And it's just been continuing. And each time you just got to go with it because that's
yeah.
what we learn
Yeah.
and find out. But I guess one of the challenges I see with AI now is it says is how can creatives still be found? Because AI is sort of now feeding, it's making decisions about what people see and everything. What is there a way that we can still stay top of mind?
Yeah, there's
Big question.
I don't know if I hate answering some of these questions because I don't know if I'm going to be right. This is
Yeah.
what I think is going. So I'm telling you what I
Yeah.
think is going to happen. So right now, discovery is harder and harder on traditional search engines. The algorithm is being made for us. Organic content is down across the board. So what can we do to get found in AI? Because more and more people are using AI to search for things. What we do know is text is critically important. So AI is not listening necessarily to a podcast or watching a video. They're taking the transcript of that. And
Yep.
that's how they're training themselves. And that's how we can position ourselves as experts. So if we're a freelance expert in the sewing industry or in automotive or whatever, we want to make sure that we have content associated with our name on credible sites, including our own, that we're attached to that. So that when AI goes in and they're training themselves on that data, you can be found. So I'll give you a really good example, and this is kind of silly, but you can work yourself into the equation on some of these things. So this is about a year and a half ago, and I asked ChatGPT at the time. I said, "What is Joe Pulizzi's favorite color?" And it came out with purple. And I'm like, that's the silliest thing in the world. Everybody knows my favorite color is orange. I wear orange everywhere. It's on all my books, everything. But for some reason, they picked up some resource that it said purple. Fine. Well, that's my fault. That's on me. So I wrote an article, an in-depth article, entitled it Joe Pulizzi's favorite color is orange. And I put that on there and I made sure. And lo and behold, if you type in on any AI search engine now, you will make sure that Joe Pulizzi's favorite color is orange because I had to make sure in text. I couldn't just say it on a podcast or an interview like this. I had to make sure I was specific about it and linked to it.
Yep.
So right now we can be very strategic with text to make sure that our knowledge, and I know that a lot of your audience, they're doing content creative work for hire, but for yourself and you want to be known, make sure, are there any associations that need expert content? Talking about the freelance writing process or in the certain industry. You want to make sure you're found for that. You want to have your own newsletter and your own site that links to these things. You want to make sure that if there is a sponsor or a partner that needs content, that you can provide that content. So we want to give away a lot of this. We've been doing this since the
Yeah.
search engine was around, but now we're not doing it to be found in Google or search engines. We're being found so that our expertise isn't lost. Because in a few years, when it's going to be almost impossible to get found through any kind of discovery because AI will determine who the experts are, we have this time period, 24 to 36 months to do this.
Hmm.
So the first thing, Lynn, I would say is have a strategic text strategy so that you are found. The
Mm,
second thing I would focus on, and Rachel, you pointed out a little bit in my article that I was talking about, is we want to make sure that we build data assets that we can control, newsletters, podcasts, memberships, anywhere where we're actually have the data of people, have that relationship where there's not a middle person or a middle entity or platform involved, where we have their information, we can communicate with them, we have their emails, their cell phone numbers, whatever the case is. And then once we get that and build that, we want to make sure we move that offline, which I think that is the big maybe the human touch that we could put on some of these things that AI can't take away from. AI cannot right now cannot fake our entities in person. They cannot fake me shaking your hand, meeting you in person, doing a speech in person. Well, maybe a little bit there, but we're not going to get there yet. We're still a little bit away from that. But taking the controlled, owned data that we have, moving it offline, and making sure that you're known in those circles, so known by AI and then known by humans.
Mm.
I would say, and everyone listening to this, we need to take this really seriously if we want to continue on with what we're doing. Because if you have a lot of freelance writers in a certain area, we know, let's say there's 100. Well, in 12, focusing on a certain area in Australia, in 12 months, there's going to be 50. And in 12 more months, there's going to be 25 because more and more people, whether it's right or not, we're not saying that it's right that they use AI. We're saying they're using AI. We know the data tells us that. They're going to
Mm.
say it's good enough. It's
Mm.
not the great content that maybe we're creating. It's not the humanity. It's not the great storytelling, but they're going to go online there. And at some point, which I don't want to come to terms with because I don't want it to be true. But I believe that in 2 to 3 years, you will have as good or better, probably better writing coming from an AI because it's millions of they're taking all the hundreds of thousands of the best writers in the world are going to come together and create one incredible writer, and that's whatever AI agent you're using. I hate that. I don't like it because we know that a lot of this it didn't get there in the right way. But here
Mm.
we are, and you're going to
Mm.
be able to do that. And the ones that are going to survive are the ones that are known. So
Okay.
right now, so let's get to the point where there's
Mm.
some optimism.
Hmm.
So right now, in the next 2 to 3 years, become known, build your newsletter, focus on one or two channels where you can be incredible and known at. Don't be on, you don't have to be everywhere.
Mm.
Get that in data, and then be strategic about the events that you go to, the dinners you go to, the coffee meetings you take, those types of things. The relationships that you have are what's going to get you the gigs
Hmm.
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
people are going to want to work with you. And it's
Hmm.
you attached to the freelance writing. It's not just the freelance writing. And I think that's what a lot of freelance writers can't get past. They're like, hey, my writing speaks for itself.
Mm.
Maybe it doesn't in 3 years. What
Mm.
it does is your name as the expert in that
Mm.
thing
Mm.
attached to your writing, that's going to get you a higher level rate. And that's what we
Mhm.
want to go toward.
Oh, so
Okay, this
interesting.
is really interesting. Okay, so thinking about a freelancer now who works with all these small business clients, they have no idea about AI. They might have heard about it in passing, but they are basically just throwing a project at you because they know you'll handle it, you'll get them the outcome they want. You know, how do you see all of that changing in 3 to 5 years? Are there still going to be those small businesses that want to work with humans and are ignoring, that they could go and plug it into ChatGPT and get something that is passable, or can you see all that shifting really fast?
So, first of all, to answer the question you just asked, I do think there will be companies out there that will want to work with human beings
Yeah,
in the same percentage that people like vinyl records.
yeah.
Yeah.
There will always be a small percentage that prefer that, and that's wonderful. But that won't be the majority. The
Hmm.
majority will figure out and say, all right, what are we spending on this? So you're saying I can have a look-alike over here, and I can type it into the computer here, and I can have an output in 2.5 seconds that's pretty close.
Mm.
I'm sat there like, and I know everybody listening to this, like, come on, that's not the right way. That's
Mm.
not, but it's the truth. That's absolutely going to happen. And on the marketing side, because again, I just had this conversation, we were talking about how we're having conversations with CMOs now that know, first of all, that their job is in jeopardy
Mm.
because they can be replaced really, really easily because their
Mhm.
job can be dictated by an AI agent like
Yeah.
now.
Mm.
And then if you have a department of so that marketing department of 20, let's say it's a mid-sized company of 5 million, $20 million. They got a
Mm.
marketing department of 10 to 20. So let's
Mm.
say it's 20. That marketing department last year was 25. Now it's
Yeah.
20. Next year it's going to be 15, then it's going to be 10, then it's going to be 2.
Mm,
Yeah.
And it's because all these, now I don't want it to be that way. What I want it to be is, oh, it's still 20. And
mm,
those 20 are doing way different things. They're way more creative. They get a lot more free time because AI is going to be doing all this stuff. Oh, we don't have to do the show notes anymore. We don't have to do
Mm.
the thumbnails anymore. We don't have to route any of this. It's all updated naturally. I don't have to have the intern anymore. All those things.
mm,
I would like to say that that's true, but that's going to be true. Plus, it's going to do our jobs because you're going to just put in, it's math. You're going to put in a
mm,
series of calculations, say, here's the persona give me all the data. You're going to put
mm,
the persona, here's the thing, here's the content we want, here's what do you think? And they're going to spit out and say, here's the probability of these 3 campaigns working, and
mm.
here's
Mm.
how you execute them. Would you like me to execute A, B, or C? A. Done. And by the way, I hate even talking about this because these are
It's
my
depressing.
friends.
Mm.
I've
Yeah.
been in marketing for
Mm.
20 years, so I know
Yeah.
it's depressing, but that's where we're going. So I
Yeah.
think that as a freelance writer, if you know that we're going that way, you have to figure out how you are going to differentiate yourself
Hmm.
when good enough becomes the standard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's going to be, and sadly, that's going to be the standard.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
So interesting. Do you think that smaller markets like Australia have an advantage here? I mean, there's not many companies in Australia actually with a 20 plus marketing team. There's a few big FMCG companies, but a lot of them are in a smaller sort of environment. Do you think that helps?
I think anything smaller helps.
Mm.
I don't know if it's the same case in Australia, but I have a lot of freelance writer friends that are generalists and they write on anything. They'll not necessarily, so not just usually anything that's business related, anything consumer, but broad outside of verticals and industries. Where I think that the opportunities lie are in the niches of the niches. So
Mm.
if there are 5 or 6 companies that focus on a particular niche of automotive that's done specifically in Australia, if you become the expert in that, you have an advantage.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if at this point you can get too niche. I really think that there is opportunities to go down and actually keep asking yourself the question. It's like, okay, well, I'm a generalist, but what do I enjoy doing the most and what am I best at? And hopefully those two
Mm.
things come together. And I'm good at this type of financial writing or whatever the case is.
Mm.
Well, that's your tilt, what we call tilt. That's your area of differentiation. That's what you
Mm.
can build your own assets around. And that's what I would focus on. So I would start doing the analysis for anybody listening is start to write down what are the things that you write about and list them. And then on the other side, where do you enjoy? Because your joy is really important in all this too, like what you like to do.
Yes.
Life is
Mm.
short. Let's focus on what we like to do. And then if
Mm.
some of those intersect, that's where you find your recombination. Adam Alter calls it
Mm.
recombination. So you take those two things, you bring them together, and you're like, ah, that's my niche. That's the thing.
Mm.
It's crypto and financial. It's automotive specifically done in this region in Australia, in this
Mm.
industry. So those types of things.
Hmm.
That's what I would start. And the great thing is you don't have to do this today. You can start building this over the next couple of years and say, yes, I'm going to keep and don't give up on the other jobs. Like keep, you can keep those clients, but you're going to say, what's future me going to do? And every day you could start building future you. You don't have
Mm.
to just say, I give up to the AI gods. There's nothing I can do. And when they don't want freelance
Mm.
writing, they don't want freelance writing. That's
Mm.
bull. We can absolutely
Mm.
be proactive in this and say, no, if I can become the expert in this thing, yes,
Mm.
freelance writing will still be there. Will there be other revenue opportunities too? Maybe. If you become the
Mm.
leading expert in any niche, you can generate revenue in 5, 10, 12 different ways. You can take sponsorship, you can do little mini events, you can do micro communities, you can do private events, webinars, you could sell books, you could take donations, you could do all sorts of things. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't just limit it to I get paid for my writing.
Yeah.
You might just have to
Mm.
say, maybe you get paid for your expertise instead of just your
Mm.
words. And if you do that, there's a lot of power in that in the future, I believe.
Hmm.
So interesting, isn't
Mm.
it?
Let's talk a little bit about, I know you're big on freelancers, building something they own. We've talked a little bit about that, but what does that look like in practice?
So right now, where I think where a lot of freelancers go wrong is they feel because social has made us feel the same way we've got to be in all the places, and you don't.
Mm.
You need to really choose and focus. So, and you have a choice in this, kind of like Harry Potter's sorting hat. Like you get a choice where you want to go. You're not just going to be told where to
Yeah.
go. So you
Yeah.
get the choice. So if you're probably really good at writing, and so
Mm,
maybe your social media preference would be LinkedIn. Great.
Hmm.
mm,
Or maybe it's Facebook. I'm not, whatever that is, you could choose one of those. Those are that we call a rented channel. We don't control the algorithm. Well, the good news is most of you are really good at text already. So you know if you don't have an email newsletter, you might want to consider an email newsletter or
mm,
consider taking that blog and then having some kind of outgoing deliverable in the form of email because we want that email name because we want to make sure we have the data.
Hmm.
So generally,
mm,
if you're looking at a freelancer just getting started, then they make the mind shift change from I'm just a freelancer to I am a content creator or a content entrepreneur, if
mm,
you will. They have one good social media channel. They generally have an email newsletter, so that
mm,
that call to action and social goes to the email newsletter. Your call to action everywhere you go is to get people to sign up for that email newsletter.
Hmm.
And then at
mm,
some point, there's an in-person variable. You're going to have a meetup at an event.
mm,
You're going to get a dinner together, the drinks with your VIP club. You might have an online community that goes offline. That's generally what it looks like. And as long as you're getting paid for your freelance writing, you don't necessarily have to worry about making money off of any of this now, but you're setting yourself up for that. So when I started from just writing since back in 2007 to creating what became Content Marketing Institute, I just
Hmm.
it was a blog. So I was
Yeah.
blogging four
mm.
times a week. That blog, I started getting people to subscribe to the RSS feed of the blog, and then they were signing up for the newsletter. And then we
Mm,
got up to about 10,000 subscribers of the newsletter. And then I had somebody reach out and say, "Hey, can I sponsor that?" I'm like, oh
mm.
yeah, money. That's good. I need that. I have two kids. They're 5 and 7. I need to feed them. Money would be fantastic. So that's what really started. And then we started to do formal sponsorship packages together, and Content Marketing
Mm,
Institute was born. So it's not too much different. I enjoyed writing. That was my first go-to. We did it in a blog. You may not do it in a blog today. You might just do it in a newsletter. You have that newsletter somewhere
mm,
online. Great.
Mm.
If you use a kit or a Substack or something like that, you can get part of their recommendation network so they can do some of that marketing for you. But if you just focus on that, it doesn't take up too much of your time. And I think it's not waste of time to spend that on your future and then
Mm.
have all your
mm.
client side stuff going on at the same time.
I can hear
Yeah.
the wheels turning in our audience's ears right now. Because,
Oh, that's
when we
good.
have done surveys asking if people have newsletters, it's like cricket. People do not. It's a very small amount of people that have newsletters or client newsletters, where they actually have sequences which, people come in and they have a sequence to nurture that lead right to the client stage. So it's good advice.
It's tough though, right? A
Yeah.
lot of in our community that we've been building over the past many years, we had a lot of people just started freelance writers, and it's very difficult for a lot of them to market themselves
Yeah.
because they would just
Yeah.
say, "No, I market through my work. I
Yeah.
show the
Mm,
clips. This is what I do. That's on my website, those types of
Yeah.
things." And I'm like, you got to give away some of the secret sauce. You got to like say,
mm,
like whatever, because it could be then you're giving away industry expertise.
Yeah.
It could be that you're giving away
mm,
writing expert. We don't know what the expertise is that you're going to be building,
Yeah.
but it can start small, even 50, 100 people. I espouse to Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans theory.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a huge audience in the
Mm.
future to make a significant
mm,
meaning in somebody's life or to actually build a business model. So that's what I love. And
mm,
Lynn, you mentioned about focusing on small groups. So don't worry if it's 10, 20, 100,
mm,
150 people. If your stuff is valuable, you can make a living from that.
Mm.
So, because I mean, I said 10,000, 10,000 was the kind of my limit to say, okay, then I saw sponsorship, but it doesn't have to be
yeah.
that way. I know of a lot of creators here in the States that have way less than 1,000 people on their list, but they have people supporting them financially.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
So,
interesting. I love the idea about community and collaboration. Like I do a lot of that. And I guess while Rachel is the queen of newsletters, I'm the queen of events. This has been my year of saying yes, and I've been to lots of workshops. And because I have a really clear niche, I work in homewares and interiors and things, and there's lots of events. And once you get to a point, people ask you, and the more you go, and then people remind you, and I get that's so. Do you think that's another way that you're a bit about connection and community? Does that help?
Well, it's lovely that you're doing that, and that's so
Mm,
important. And I can't stress that what you're doing should be the model.
mm,
Because
mm,
like what Rachel and I are sort of talking about is yes, you want to build your direct audience in a
mm,
newsletter.
mm,
I think that that is critical. But the next step outside, especially with what we're talking about is in AI,
mm,
is for the in-person event. That is the
mm.
thing that AI will cannot take away from us, at least in a
Yeah.
very, very long time that I can see in building those direct connections. And as you know, Lynn, when you shake somebody's hand, meet somebody at an event, lead a round table, speak at an event, it makes 10x the impact that any digital content will make or print content will
Mm,
make. So if we can
mm,
do that, and I guess what I would say where a lot of freelancers struggle is they don't strategically do this. So so how do you strategically do this? So right now we're coming up on the turn of the year. This is a good time to do this. You want to list all the events in 2026 that you need to be at per your expertise for that tilt we were talking about, that thing that you're really good at that you're doing, want to figure out what
yeah.
that is. Well, then you list, well, where are the events in my area that I need to be at?
Yeah.
So this is
Mm,
part of your diversification into making sure you have work or you're making money outside of AI is to say,
mm,
okay, I'm going to be at these events. Okay. Who's going to be at those events? Do I have some of those people in my audience? Are they on LinkedIn? How do I put those together? And at first, it might be just I got two coffee meetings with people, or I got an after session cocktail reception with somebody. Great, whatever, and then that will move into hey, we're all getting together for dinner, or I'm gonna do a side event with somebody because we're gonna have a little session out here. And then it gets into what my wife and I started doing. It's like, hey, we're not just going to partner with somebody on an event. We're going to do our own event. So
yeah.
those are the things
Yeah.
that start working for you, where you stop looking like a freelance writer and you start looking like a little baby media company, and it's joyous and it's a
Mm,
wonderful thing. And when that
mm,
gets to be that point, all you've created is more options for yourself. You've just created
yeah.
more ways that you can generate revenue, and it absolutely is scary. But if you can
Mm,
start very small. So the next event somebody's going to say, list the event and make one coffee meeting or
Mm,
something like that. That you're like, great, I've done that. And then you go to the next event and then it's two. Or it's a
mm.
gathering of three or four, and you start doing that. I've got Andy Crestodina is a good friend. He run Orbit Studios in Chicago, and he's been doing this for 10 years. He has a dinner at every event he goes to. He reaches out to all the people he thinks might go to this event, and he says, I'm doing a dinner. He does the dinner, he picks up the dinner, God bless him. And I can't tell you how many connections and things and opportunities that has had in his business. He's
Mm.
turning away business. He has so much business, and a lot of it is because they know him personally. So to
Mm.
be known personally is
Yeah.
going to be really important in the age of AI.
Yeah, yeah.
mm.
I'm already
So
seeing
interesting.
that with getting clients over the line. It something that used to work before where you'd send a services guide or have a chat to them on the phone or even a Zoom and then, green light, send the contract, you got the project. That isn't working in the same way anymore. So I'm starting to have leads say, "Do you want to meet for a coffee?" And before I was like,
Mm.
meet for a coffee, like that's just a waste of time if I don't
Yeah,
know
exactly right.
what
Yeah.
your budget is or whether this is going to be a
Mm,
good fit or whatever. But now I'm saying, yes, let's go meet for that coffee because if, they get to know
mm,
me and they trust me at that coffee, I've got that job. And I also love how you write about, those really old school type things like handwritten notes. I know when we did the conference, I got heaps of handwritten notes and cards from people that were branded and really beautiful. Like I know you did too, Lynn. And that's
yeah.
always a surprise to get that, isn't it? In this digital world, to get something tangible in the mail.
A note rather than a text.
Exactly, rather than a
Yeah.
test. And at
Mm,
Rachel's List, we're experimenting with the new website using apps like Bonjoro, where we have a video and talk to someone when they sign up, that sort of thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, and you've talked about all of that stuff. I mean, should we be looking at all of those touch points and going and strategizing about them as well? Like
Yeah,
when,
yeah,
yeah,
anything, absolutely. And you mentioned print. I mean, thank you cards, of course. Any kind of personal touch is important. But I think the offline opportunity in print, that could be postcards, it could
yep,
be a print newsletter, it could be a mini print magazine, it could be a book. I mean, a book, by the way, best business card ever developed. If you go
yeah,
to an event and you don't give them your business card, you give them your book.
yeah,
I mean, they almost want to buy from you
yeah,
because you gave them something of substance. So
yeah.
those types of things are really important, and especially when it's so crowded online. If you can separate, I don't know about you or how the post is working in Australia, but in the United States, if you send a magazine today, it gets noticed because everybody stopped producing their magazines, and most of the mail you get
Mm,
is spam mail. It's clutter, it's bills, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
mm,
really important if you could do that. So that's why you're saying, and I know it can be expensive. So, but that's where you can work with partners and consortiums and things like that to say, hey, no, hey, if
mm,
we put out something quarterly
Yeah.
or every 6 months, we could really make an impact. And that could then integrate with, hey, we're having a gathering at so
Mm,
and so to
mm,
talk about this issue, which you already know that they're interested in because they're on your email list. And those
yeah.
types of things
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
can really play. I mean, when we launched Chief Content Officer Magazine as part of Content Marketing Institute, we could start to show in the database how a CMO would get this. And then after 9 to 12 months, they would start sending people to our event. And I'm like, it's just,
yeah.
how did that even get in front of them? Because there wasn't a lot of competition. Very hard to
Yeah.
do that on a LinkedIn or a TikTok
Mm,
or a Facebook or
mm,
an Instagram or whatever. A lot
Yeah.
easier to do that in post.
Yeah.
So you don't have all that struggle with competition.
Mm, yeah.
yeah, so interesting.
Mm,
Mm. Well, I do love the old-fashioned sort of thank yous and things like that, and I do seeing people make gives you. Well, I mean, I did a great little project for somebody that I was at a lunch with, and she was sitting, and she said, a month later, she said, "You may remember that a month ago we had this conversation. You suggested this. I took it up, but can you have a look at it first before I send it out?" And so I said, "It's a great idea, but you haven't done blah, 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 blah." And I said, "I can fix it for you if you want." And she said, "Yep, done, please." And so I fixed it. It was a great thing. And she just went, "This is awesome." And it was just a minor thing, but it actually paid for two of those lunches, that small job. And I thought, there you are.
See,
I
there
had
is
two
such
free
thing as a
lunches,
free
huh?
lunch. You
Yeah.
got it.
There is, there
There
is.
you
Yeah.
go. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think when you talked about things like TikTok and LinkedIn and everything, people make a lot of mistakes, don't they, about that when they're on, I guess, what you call owned land. It's not your control. What sort of mistakes do you see people making?
Well, we talked a little bit about the first mistake that I
Mm,
see a lot of even experienced creators get in. They feel
mm.
they have to be on all the channels. And like when we
Yeah.
used to go in and we used to do, I mean, this is back when I'd go do marketing content audits and big enterprises.
Mm,
And we'd go in and we'd look at all they're doing. And then they'd say, Joe, what's the big new content idea we need to create? Because they said, okay, you're the content marketing guy. What are you going to recommend? And I always recommend you need to kill some of these things. You're doing
mm,
you're doing all these, you're doing webinars, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. What are you on Snapchat for? Like all these things. We'd go and they said, you're distributing content 20 different ways. It's like you are a jack of all trades, master of none. You know what that's going to do?
mm,
Absolutely nothing. It's going to make an impact on nobody's life because you're not focused and you're not giving special attention to any one of these. You're just sort of checking the
mm,
box on doing all of them. And I think we get into that, oh, I gotta should I be on Threads? Is anybody on Twitter still? Doing all those things. So
mm,
I would say the first thing is choose one, commit to it, be good at it.
mm,
Like it's an algorithm and it's very hard to get through, but your personal touch with your tilt, with what you're talking about, focus on just that. So that's kind of where
mm,
I would focus. And I'm still, as
mm,
Rachel said, I'm still a big believer in the email newsletter. I've been talking about it for 15 years. I still think
mm.
as long right now they can't. Right. I haven't found that they've taken that algorithm to the step where I can't get my email
Yes.
through
mm,
with all
Mm,
Google's doing in their promotions tab and all that stuff. So we still have that opportunity there. So I would just focus on one area of expertise, on one social platform, on one owned controlled platform, and then just do the work, make the calendar. Say I'm going to do a newsletter. I mean, at minimum, every 2 weeks. I think you got to get a newsletter
Mm.
out there. I think if you do it every
Mm.
month, I think people will start thinking it might be spam.
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
weekly, I think for freelance writers, a nice weekly note that's always helpful that you're not pitching yourself in is a really good way to go. But if you're just like, hey,
Mm.
I can't be great every week. I can be great every 2 weeks. Do it. Every 2 weeks is fine. Like we can
Yes,
live with that.
yes.
I'd rather you have a great newsletter that's
Mm.
really providing value instead of
Yep.
just
Mm.
olaying it and say, oh, I've got to make the donuts, so I better just go do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would focus on. So, and that might mean it doesn't mean you have to kill your other social channels, but you're probably just say, hey, you could, you have your stuff out there. People can find you if they want to,
Mm.
but this is the place that you're going to spend 30 minutes a day and
Yeah.
try to build that
Mm.
audience around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked a bit about your Burn the Playbook, your latest book, and we talked a bit about it offline as, kind of terrified parents who don't know what to suggest to their kids because
Yeah.
that pathway that we kind of traveled down to get to build our careers is no longer working like it did. I read, is this right that you wrote the book for your kids and you were kind of inspired? Talk to us a bit about it and what you hope readers take away from it.
So yeah, it was kind of a personal endeavor that I ended up publishing. Um, I I had all the, as any parent, anyone who has kids, like you want to tell them all the things, but you don't want to tell them so they get so annoyed at you they stop listening. And
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
sometimes I do that where I'm like, oh, in my day, this is how I did it. I think you
We all
should
do that.
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, all those things? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to put the way I see the world right now and my advice to them in a book. And what
Mm.
was great is I wrote the draft and I sent the draft to both of them. And I said, would you please read this and give me feedback? Now, I think they were coaxed a little bit by their mother. And she said, please, for the love of God, would you read this and give your dad some feedback? But we picked a place, we went out to dinner together, and they both had really amazing notes. And I took a lot of those ideas and put them
Mm.
into the book. But it was this idea where I think a lot of people are still living by the rules that were set 50 years ago.
Mm.
And even today, where people, they're like, well, I need to go to school and I need to spend this amount in school and I need to get this major because I'm going to get this job. And we don't live in that world anymore. And I don't think we've lived in that
Mm.
world for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I really believe that owning something, anything, is sort of your key to finding freedom. So something around, and then we're talking, this is the whole thing we're talking about today is what brings joy to your life? What do you love to do? And share that with other people. We're talking
Mm.
about sharing it through things like newsletters and
Mm.
in-person events and whatever, but however that is shared to you. And if you can do that and you do it really well and you build a group of people that follow you, you can make a living for yourself. So that checks the box on meaning because you're doing something you're passionate about and you love, and you're checking the box on freedom because you're not controlled by some company telling you when or where you have to work, or even if you're great at your job, letting you go, which
Mm.
is what saddens me right now. That's happening to a lot of my
Yeah.
friends who are amazing thinkers and caring people, and they are losing their job because honestly, companies don't value their people. They're incentivized on efficiency. They're not
Mm.
Mm.
incentivized on how many people they have working for them. So they want
Mm.
more revenue per employee. They feel that AI can help them get them there. Whether or not that's right or wrong doesn't matter. That's what they
Mm.
believe,
Mm.
and that's what
Mm.
they're doing. So the book
Mm.
is basically all about, hey, let's wake up. However we did things 20 years ago, this is not how it's working today. I want to make sure everybody is living for something meaningful, that they have the freedom that they want in their life, and hopefully, I wanted to build generational wealth for my kids and my family so they get taken care of. And that was foremost on my mind when my wife and I started the business in 2007. It's like, how do we take care of our kids, right? That's what we want.
Yeah.
And our family and their families. And we want to do something like that. So that's kind of what the book is about. There's little chapters on, you can't make meaning in the world if you're not healthy. So I've got a health chapter. It's like you can't make wealth long term if you don't think about your finances. So there's a financial chapter. So it's really, to your point, Rachel, like if somebody was getting out of university, I think this book is really helpful for them, but it's also helpful for somebody that's not satisfied with the job that they have, or they're worried that the job that they have is going to go away, or they're worried about their business and their business failing in the future. So those types of things kind of gives you a slap to start and say, wake up.
Yeah.
This is not the way
Yeah.
you think it is anymore, or stop telling yourself this
Yeah.
lie. This is true, to go on with, okay, what do we do about it? And it's really all about focusing on the crazy you, like what makes you special, and lean into that craziness. And did you know if you lean into that craziness and that uniqueness about you, you could probably make a living for yourself. So that's what we
Mm.
talk about.
Yeah.
It was interesting you mentioned, I think, in the book where, was it your kid that said, I don't want to go to university, or what's the point of going to university if there's nothing at the other end of it? And you said, well, it's
Yeah.
actually the discipline of sitting down and powering through those 3 years, having the discipline to write all the essays and get the marks and do the study and all of that. And I was like nodding along to that because my university degree is nothing, like it's nothing compared to what I'm doing in my business and in my career. It was just about discipline. That's how I see it. It taught me how to write it better and how to research and all of that. So there's still a
Yeah, and then we
place for uni.
Yeah, well, no, we talked about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not negative against college university. Like
Yeah.
I am very pro. Like I'm just like, don't specify yourself into a place that won't exist. Like
Yeah.
I'm all for
Yes.
Yeah.
go get a nice general degree in liberal
Yeah.
arts, or
Yeah.
something that is just about human behavior.
Yeah.
That would be great. And then focus on making a lot of bad decisions. Make some bad decisions.
Yeah.
Go live your life. Focus on how to get along with other people. And you're inside kind of a safe community, hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you can do all those things, and you can learn a little bit of responsibility, and then really get to a point where, to your thing, it's like, what's the thing that university teaches me?
Yeah.
It's, I get a project, I finish a project. I
Yeah.
become somebody who finishes things. I
Yeah.
get another,
Yeah.
and that's really, really
Yeah.
important. And that's what I love about college. It's like, hey, you're a person that gets things done.
Yeah.
It's a really important skill to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to quickly ask
Exactly.
you because we've talked. It's come up a few times about you're seeing your friends, losing their jobs after 20 years, 10 years in an organization. What are you seeing people doing who are in that position? I'd just love to hear what's going on around you with people who perhaps think, well, there's nothing for me in this industry anymore, so I'm going to do X. Have you got some interesting stories there?
So absolutely. What's interesting, I have a couple that they're really good about marketing in the in-between times. Like they get their blogs back up or
Mm,
their newsletters, and as
mm.
soon as they get a job, they stop them.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, gee, if
Yes.
you'd have
Yeah.
never stopped, you'd have probably never been in this situation. So
Yeah.
a lot of them are, I have a couple friends that are 9 months now, still haven't found anything. A
Mm.
lot of the jobs that have been put up they're not filling anything. Of
Yeah.
course,
Mm,
we're going through our own issues here in the United States on a lot of fronts right
mm,
now, but a lot of people
mm,
just aren't filling jobs for the
mm,
uncertainty that's out there.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Interestingly, and some people, one person started a coffee shop. That's what they always wanted to
mm,
do.
Yeah.
Got a loan to do it.
mm,
Great. Now's a perfect time to do things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
One started writing their own book, had the book like we all have, right? Had the fiction book, mystery book in the drawer, finally dusted
mm,
it off and started to do this. So
Yeah.
mm,
I'm it's horrible, the situation that a lot of them are going through, and it's very, very tough
mm.
times, but it also gives them an excuse to do the things they always wanted to do.
Hmm.
So in that case,
Yeah.
that's the positive of, hey, maybe if
Mm,
they just focus on doing the thing they really want to do, maybe they can make a living
Mm.
out of doing that. So,
Mm.
you write a book, you self-publish it, you sell it to a lot of people, you write another book, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen from that as well. It doesn't just mean we have to always do the way we we did it before. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Mm.
it's not easy. I expect more of that. I expect a lot of the consultants that are out there that have their own businesses. The consulting business is a lot harder because of the tools that clients have today. So
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting to kind of now's a really good time to take a step back and say, okay, I can't control what happens with AI, but I
Mm.
can control what I do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is now a really good time to control what we can do.
Yeah.
And coming out of it, whatever happens, you're going to be prepared for war.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
I'm famous for my redundancy scones. So when, or scones as you call
Yeah.
them, so when my friends are made redundant, I have them over for scones and I try and help them set up as a freelancer if that's what they want to do. And I've had many, I don't know, hundreds of people over the years come, and now there's been a whole rush in this last few months. And it's interesting when you see people a year later, the ones that have thrived and the ones that haven't. And I could pretty well pick them when I have scones now, is like the people that go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, and the people that do it like within the next couple of weeks. And I've had some people say, yeah, I haven't really been on LinkedIn. I haven't done this. And if I see them check on their LinkedIn in 6 months and they still haven't done it, they're never going to do well.
No.
They get, whereas the people, I've met people at a function or like an industry event a month later and they say, thanks for that. I went home and I did this. I fixed up my website and I did that. And by that stage, they've already got some gigs and it just goes on. It's a lot of it is about their attitude and their confidence in themselves.
It's so that's a beautiful story. In the book, we talk about a thing called a misogi goal, which is basically it's a Japanese idea for a big, interesting, almost hard to do goal that you're going to do over
Mm,
90 days.
Yeah.
And I love that because it takes about 66 days to build a habit. So, like in
mm,
your example about, oh, hey, I'm going to get better at LinkedIn. You say, set a Misogi goal for the next 90 days.
mm,
Every day, you're going to do it. You're not going to miss a
mm,
day. You
Mhm.
get you get two-thirds of that way through.
mm,
That's a habit. You are a doer. You are on LinkedIn.
mm,
Mhm.
You're
mm,
past that point. You're never going to have to be reminded again. It's the same thing about, oh, I'm going to do a newsletter for the next 90
mm.
days. Whatever the
Mm.
case is, I love that because you're just giving them one thing to do. Just focus on doing one
Yeah.
thing well. And
Mm.
then once you do that, you built that habit. And then you get to that 90 days, you're like, okay, now I can build another habit. So it's
Mm.
not like we have to remake ourselves all, in the next 6 months or a year, but we can do it one goal at a time. And I think that's really good.
Mm.
And I think you don't have to do all the things. The person I had for scones yesterday, who wasn't great at her LinkedIn, I said, you don't have your photo up there. And she said, oh, yeah, yeah, I've been meaning to. I've got to get a new photo shoot. You really need 2 days to sit down and fix it all. And I said, you don't. I said, maybe you just go home and you upload the photo you've got. Yes, it's 5 years old, but it looks nice. Just do
Yeah.
that. And I said, and then maybe fix your bio. And that's it. And then, yes, you can do the photo shoot at some point. But in the meantime, you've got some
That's right.
traction on LinkedIn.
Mm.
You don't have to spend 2 days fixing your LinkedIn.
Mm.
Spend 5 minutes just doing something.
We
Mm.
like to
It doesn't have to be
overcomplicate it,
everything.
right?
I
Don't make it
do.
Yeah.
complicated. Just do the
No.
things.
Yeah.
Make the list, do the things, check them off. And whatever you don't
Yeah.
get done today, that's what tomorrow's for. So,
Mm.
Mm.
Well, Joe, I
Yeah.
want to throw something back at you because you've talked a lot about what freelancers can do in the next sort of 3 years, become, experts, niche down, all of that sort of stuff. I suppose learning schema, which makes my eyes glaze over, and, how to get into AI searches also plays a part in that. But I would love to ask you, what are you doing to ensure that you're thriving in kind of 3 to 5 years? What are your plans for the future?
so I actually my article this week coming out is on this text. So I have I create a lot of content.
Yeah.
I've got the two
Mm,
podcasts, I got the newsletter, but I don't think I've done a
mm,
really good job making sure it's found by everything that needs to be found today. So
mm,
what I
mm,
realized with my podcast is I don't have the transcripts. Really easy stuff to
mm,
do,
Yeah.
but I've never
mm,
uploaded the transcripts, and the transcripts are the most important thing to get found in AI. So little things like,
mm,
hey, if you're doing anything in video or audio as a freelance writer, make sure that you take those transcripts and upload them
Yeah.
somewhere
We do it
so that
now.
it can be found.
Yeah.
We've done it for the last 4 months.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm like I just started doing
Easy.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
what an idiot! I can't believe I I
You
haven't
got
been doing these
500.
things.
You better hurry up.
I know it's so silly. It's like, oh, I wish I had been
Yeah.
doing it. That's okay. Better late than never. I'm gonna go start doing that. So I've got that. And then I realize that I'm putting out so much textual content. I have some people in my area that run associations and things that would love to have an article for me, that I could absolutely give them a modified article of that. So great.
Mm.
And I just talked with somebody today about, okay, I've got 500 evergreen episodes, content that I've done, and maybe some writers out here have written a
Mm.
lot of content. Is
Mm.
there the way that we can recombine some of those things and put them on other findable areas like Substack or Medium or someplace
Mm.
that makes sense and is
Mm.
findable by some of these AI search engines? So my concern is, like, right now, if you go into Google, you type in Joe Pulizzi, you'll get, hey, content marketing guy and or creator economy guy, and that's fine. But that's short-lived. Like, I don't know where am I, how am I going to live on in the future? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what what truth is going to be, and I am honestly a little bit concerned by it. So I
Mm.
have to make sure I'm proactive to make sure for this textual
Mm.
thing. So that's just kind of blocking and tackling textual.
Mm.
So making sure that, is LinkedIn up to date? Is my website up to date? Is it easily findable? Do I have my newsletter sequence going well? Is the sign up? So those types of things, so that people can connect with me really easily.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I'm working on now, and just focusing on, probably at this point, I'm not at the say yes to everything where I was 20 years ago, where I was saying yes to every
Mm.
meeting. Now I'm being a little bit more particular about, okay, I want to focus on writing these articles or doing this book and
Mm.
being really
Mm.
good at it. And I've got to make sure that I put that time on my calendar and make sure that nobody takes that time away from me. And I mean saying no to some things that maybe in the past I would say yes to. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm, and just focus, focus, focus. I'm just all about, like, okay, what can I be the best in the world at? What
Mm.
can we be one of the leading experts in the world at?
Mm.
And how do I make sure that I'm found for that? And
Mm,
Mm.
that seems like enough over the next 12 months from a
mhm,
career
Mm.
standpoint.
mhm.
Personal
Yeah.
standpoint, whatever gives you happiness and joy, and especially if it's with other
Yes.
people, like, lean
Yeah.
into that. Like,
Yeah.
now is a
Mm.
really good time to lean in your relationships
Mhm.
Mm.
and check in on people. I mean,
Mm.
there's some horrifying stats about, like, people that use social media too much and things that happen,
Mm.
and depression,
Mm.
and
Mm.
I got kids that I'm worried about. We talked about, so
Mm.
those types of things that I'm really like, okay, well, how can I be a better friend, a better son, those types of things, and do check-ins as often as possible. And I sent out 2 letters in the mail this week to
Yeah.
your writing thank yous, and really, for something is about that. Like, if you can,
Yeah.
everybody listen to this should say,
Yeah.
I'm going to send out a letter
Yeah.
to somebody this week, and then I'm going to do it next
Mm.
week and see if you can create a habit out of it.
I've got a drawer
Yeah.
full of
Nice.
postcards that I've never sent out. So that's going to be happening now.
That's your
That's going
thing.
to be my 90-day.
Postcards are the best, right?
I
That's the
know.
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Mm.
Oh, Joe, we could talk to you
Fantastic.
all day, but it's probably going to go on
So
too
good.
long. So I'm going to ask one last question that we love to ask
Sure.
all our guests, and we know it's really popular with our
Mm.
listeners. Your
Mm.
favorite tech tips and tools, whatever you'd be lost without.
So my newest, I know a lot of people don't do podcasts, but Descript has
Uh-huh.
saved my life. I spend 75% less time on putting my podcast together,
Mm.
with
Mm.
Descript. And basically, I didn't do video podcasts before I had it.
Mm.
So basically, I upload me talking to the camera, and then I can edit it in the words.
Mm.
I'm not a tech guy, so I'm not
Mm.
great with all the technology, but the fact that I can edit the video and the audio through text
Mm.
was a
Mm,
Mm.
game changer for me. So
mm,
Descript is
Yeah.
sort of the thing that I've been focusing mostly
That's
on.
what I use for this podcast too. It's great.
It's so, yeah, I mean,
I feel that there's so much more it can do that I don't even touch too.
and what's wonderful about it is that then we talked about transcripts, then you could take the transcript from the video, export it, and then put it
Yes.
online.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
those things are just magical to save me the time to do that. And then it used to take me time to write up the show notes for all the podcasts. So the show notes are really easy because those come right from the transcripts that I do in Descript. But for This Old Marketing, which is a news podcast that I do with Robert Rose, all I do now is I use Whisperflow, which is a dictation tool. And I dictate right into, here's what the show is about, here's what our marketing winners and losers, here was this and whatever, and I put it into, it's about a 60-second overview, and then ChatGPT, wonder if people probably don't want to hear this or are freelance writers, but ChatGPT boils up the show notes for me exactly as I dictate it.
Yep.
And then I can throw that right into Libsyn, which is my hosting platform. So that has saved a lot of time as well. So I feel I can do more from an audio and a video standpoint with those three tools.
Amazing.
Oh, that's really good. Well, I use Descript to do the transcript, and it helps me draft the show notes for our podcast.
I have to get into
It has
Descript.
show notes thing.
I haven't really
Yeah.
explored it, but
Yeah.
The
it's
Whisper
so good.
Flow has been a game. I've been using that for about a month now. It's just and what
It's-
I can do, I can talk gibberish into Whisper Flow.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because it obviously you can talk a lot faster than you can type, and it will take all of that and put it into something that makes sense back to you.
Okay.
Like, and it
that's
gives
so
bullet
great.
points and numbers depending on what you're doing, and it just formats. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. I sound smart instead of the gibberish that I put into it. So I was not, I was a little bit worried at first, but it's been a game changer as well.
So good.
Okay, well, we'll pop those in the show notes, but
Wow.
also tell us where people can find you, where you'd like us to send them.
Yes, if you're interested in the book, burntheplaybook.today. We've got the audio, the ebook, or the print version if you'd like to get it. And then everything that you can find about me is at joepulizzi.com, pulizzi.com. I've got a newsletter that goes out every week called The Tilt. If you like any and all this talk and you want to go down the AI rabbit hole, that seems to be all I'm writing about lately. But what we talked about today is probably going to be part of the next few newsletters as I'm struggling along with everyone else, and I'm just trying to share what I'm finding. So
Well, Joe,
so
I
good.
think you win.
Amazing.
You win for being like a guest that has been optimistic, terrifying, and really inspiring all in
all
one.
the emotions.
So thank you.
practical.
It's like all the emotions in one day.
I like that. It's like, how'd you feel about listening to that podcast episode? Oh, I felt at first I
needed to
felt
go and have a lie
terrible,
down.
and then I felt great, and then it felt terrible again.
The roller coaster.
Yeah. We got to look these things in the face.
Fantastic.
It was a pleasure talking with you both. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, so leave a rating or review if you love it, which of course you did, and that helps other people find the show. And we'll be back next week with another amazing guest. Thanks.
We will.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.